This is the Desert Shaman's channel. This is Roger Thunder. I'm going to preview this video or put a preface on this video as to what my future plans are in regards to what might appear here on this channel as far as videos go. And so what I'm going to do is I have been reviewing some of my older videos, and I'm going to start putting up videos from my archive, things that I think will interest people, or let's say videos that got a pretty good count as far as views go. So I'll probably do that. I'll probably put up some vintage videos, or maybe I will put a little thing on there that says from the archives, so that you'll know that that's what they are. And you'll probably be able to tell anyway, because of my appearance, and got a few more gray hairs and so forth and so on now. Although I must say, not big changes, but noticeable ones. So that's my preview, and then now I'm going to talk about, I told you I was going to stay away from world events because they're so horrific, but I feel that I must, for my viewers, from time to time, talk about a world event that I think is very important, that everybody should know about, and that's the Ukraine war and the financial system. Those two things. As far as all the other little BS news stories, going to steer clear of that and just concentrate on what I think you should know and what my take on it might be. So today we're going to talk about the Ukraine war. I'm going to talk about that a little, and the financial system, which I think the two are connected, obviously. So let me start off by giving you an update on the Ukraine war, because I haven't really addressed that in quite some time. So where we're standing right now is Ukraine is losing badly. The casualty rate in Ukraine is said to be upwards of 250,000 to 350,000 dead, and another possible 300,000 or 200,000 wounded, which they will never, most of them will never recover from their injuries. It's horrific. It's horrific. I mean, those are statistics, but having said that those are statistics, each one of those people, it's mind-boggling, is somebody's brother, somebody's father, somebody's son, somebody's daughter. Yes, there's women out there too. Now, what has happened is that the West has pumped so much money, billions, $100 billion in arms and money, to Ukraine for a losing cause, okay, because Ukraine is never going to win against the Russians. And every day the Russians are progressing further and further and further. The Russians have upward of some 750,000 reserves, and they're only probably using a small amount of that, while the rest are still being trained for the final onslaught or whatever. Let's not forget that the West was the one that provoked this by moving NATO and its missiles and its artillery closer and closer to the Russian border. That would be like if Russia put anti-ballistic missiles or troops or whatever on the Canadian or Mexican border, which would freak the United States out totally. So that's why this thing is in the situation that it is now. And of course, the United States has said time and time again, with the lies and propaganda on the mainstream media, that, oh, this is about democracy, and this is about, oh, we can't allow Russia to invade sovereign countries, and on and on and on. Russia is losing, and far from it, far from it. Russia had every right to do what they did. And basically, they went in to protect the Russian-speaking people in the Donbass and the Luhansk regions, which, since they have gone in, have voted to be part of the Russian Federation. So most of the people in those places are Russian-speaking people, and they've been set upon since 2014, when the crew, including Victoria Nuland and John Kerry and Biden and all the rest of them, orchestrated a coup so that the legitimately elected government, which was pretty neutral and friendly towards Russia, was ousted, taken over by Banderites or Bandera followers, or Nazi followers of the Bandera movement. The Bandera movement goes way back to World War II, okay? So I'm giving you a real quick rundown, and I'm giving you an update as to what's going on. And so right now what's happening is NATO, after pumping all these arms and $100 billion of U.S. taxpayers' money, which we could use much more effectively helping the homeless and supporting our infrastructure and all kinds of things. The problem is they've been lying to the American people and painting this picture that, oh, poor Ukraine, and Ukraine is probably one of the most corrupt countries, and was before Putin even went in there. On the face of the planet, one of the most, probably the most corrupt country. There was no democracy there. So this is all just a facade by the powers to be in the USA and the morons here, but have a bone to pick with Russia and want to take, they've said it right out, they want to destabilize Russia. They want Russia to be broken up into all kinds of different small pieces. They want Putin to fail as a leader and for the regime there to fall. Now, the Russian people are doing great. I mean, as far as all the sanctions that have been put up, more sanctions have been put on Russia than probably any country since the beginning of time, and they're thriving. They're showing they don't need the West, and they're showing that they have morals, and they're showing that they have the backing of the Russian people, and also the backing of probably 3/4 of the world's nations. There's only a small amount of nations, Germany, France, the Baltics, people like that, because they're in NATO, that are supporting this horrific war. Now, what the reality is that the Ukrainians are running out of ammunition. They don't have enough ammunition. They might shoot 5,000 rounds to Russia's 20 or 30,000 rounds that they shoot a day. Russia has an endless supply of ammunition. Now get this. The U.S. has very little ammunition. The U.S. is basically out of ammunition for these artillery pieces. They can't produce enough. They will never be able to produce enough. they have left our inventory in the United States a shortfall. The NATO people don't have ammunition that they can give to Ukraine, so Ukraine is basically shit out of luck. And as the days go on, more and more Ukrainians will be killed. The Russians have been launching missile attacks, hypersonic missile attacks. They are devastating Ukraine. Now, they didn't want to do that. It was the West that actually pushed them into that. All they wanted to do was go in with a small force, special military operation, protect the people of Donbass, the Russian people. And incidentally, 14,000 of them, men, women, and children, were killed since 2014 by the shelling from the Nazis and the nationalists in Ukraine. Basically, what it amounts to is Ukraine is a bad, bad place. Ukraine is the tool of NATO. Ukraine is the tool of the West so that they could fight a proxy war. Now, these are I'm just updating you here as to what's going on here, okay? And now it's getting to critical mass where Ukraine is about to fall, although NATO will never admit that, and the West will never admit that. They try to keep people in the dark. They try to paint this picture about we're helping Ukraine fight for democracy and blah, 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 on and on and on. All a crock of shit, all just a bunch of lies, okay? Your money is going over there to a failing war, which probably will end, well, the experts are saying, Colonel McGregor and Colonel Scott Ritter and others are saying it ain't going to last past probably spring or summer. If that, okay? Now, if that wasn't bad enough, things are getting dicey in the air because Russia just downed a Reaper drone, okay, which is a fairly large, it's not like a little drone you fly around the block or something. It's a big aircraft that gathers intel and was in Russia's airspace, trying to spy on them, trying to move in. So they did a buzz job by it, the supersonic Su-35s or 29s or whatever. They flew by the drone so fast and so close that the guy lost control and went into the Black Sea. Now there's a big brouhaha about that. And now, I'm telling you, every week it's a new tape loop. It's a new situation. But the situation over there, which has been going on for a little over a year, it started February of last year, hasn't progressed to the point where NATO is winning anything. They're just killing a bunch of Ukrainian soldiers. Now, here's another thing. The Ukrainian soldiers have run out of people. They're running out of people. They're losing massive amounts of people. So now they've taken to the streets, raiding cafes and restaurants and stuff and pulling people out of when they're eating or whatever they're doing, throwing them in a van and pushing them to the front lines. And we're talking 16-year-old kids, and we're talking 60-year-old men, and we're also talking women that never fired a gun before in their life. This is how corrupt the Zelensky regime, Zelensky being the actor, comedian, young guy that lies continually and demands money from the U.S. The guy's a puke. He's an idiot. He's a killer. He doesn't care at all about his own people. So when they do take these people out of restaurants and cafes and off the street and stuff and send them to the front line, the life expectancy is, get this, 4 hours. 4 hours is the life expectancy of these people that are being dragged to the front line. They're running out of bodies to put on the front line. And the Russians have always been open to peace talks without preconditions. In other words, you're not going to make any conditions because obviously they're winning the war anyway, so why would they? And I think that the final goal is, as experts say, to go in and replace Zelensky, who is the head of this rat's nest of Banderaites, okay, Nazis, nationalists. And it's a head scratcher that the United States would even support this in the first place. The propaganda is so heavy that it's unbelievable. It's Russophobia, okay? Russophobia, Russophobia. They're the bad guys. We're the good guys. Well, we know better than that because for years and years and years, the United States has done nothing but invade other countries like Afghanistan and Syria, and all on the pretext of promoting democracy. Not, don't believe that for a minute. What they really want is the oil and the resources. And let me just mention another thing in case you don't know it. The United States blew up the Nord Stream pipeline, which was Russia's pipeline to the European countries and to Germany to supply them with cheap gas, okay, cheap gasoline, and which was the prime mover for all their businesses and all, BMW, BASF, and all these big countries, chemical companies and car companies and foundries and all this stuff cannot operate now because America, according to Psy Hirsch, legendary investigative reporter who was the one that pulled the covers on My Lai massacre and the Pentagon and papers and all kinds of things, has a sterling track record. His article that came out basically pulled the covers on the fact that Biden is the one, through covert means and using Navy divers, blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. Now Germany's going tits up, and the European countries over there, since they don't have any more gas, are failing. So basically, it was an act of war on our own allies. Okay, Germany. They said, well, it was against Russia too. Hell, it was their pipeline. Okay, and yeah, they tried to accuse Russia of it and try to, lay the blame on Russia, which just is absurd. Why would they blow up their own pipeline? And then that, now that Psy Hirsch's article came out, they're trying to fend that off with some cockamamie ludicrous story about 6 men in a sailboat that people are making fun of because it sounds like Gilligan's Island, basically. So here's another thing too. I'm just going to update you on this, but this is now in the last couple of days here, we've had bank failures. We had bank failure in Silicon Valley, huge bank there that funds all the the software people and those people there. So that failed. Okay, we had a failure there, kind of like the 2008 crisis. 3 more banks, Sterling Bank, Credit Suisse is about ready to go under. So what is happening here is that there's the financial crisis is looming because of the war, basically, the sanctions that they put on Russia to try to make them go under, backfired big time and had a bad effect on American economy and on the European economy. Horrible, horrible effect. We're paying higher gas prices. You can't get certain foods. There's all kinds of things that are a chain reaction off these illegal sanctions that they put on Russia. Okay. If you ask me, and this is my opinion, Russia's the good guys. Now you can couple that. This is all gonna be one video real quick here. You can couple that with the fact that military people in Russia have found biolabs all over the place in Ukraine. I think that might be one of the main reasons they wanted to go in there. Biolabs that have been spreading making all kinds of horrible pathogens. And they also found out that these horrible pathogens and things like the vaccines and like the supposed corona thing and all that stuff has actually been coming from these illegal biolabs, and some of them are even targeted to specific people. They're experimenting with DNA pathogens to target certain things like the Slavic people, Russian people, things like that. So this whole thing is much, much bigger than people realize. And if you ask me, Russia is the country of saints, so to speak, right now, because they're trying to run interference with the New World Order and the global agenda and the encroachment or the hegemonic view of the USA to take over all nations that they can and to tell them what to do. And not only that, but there's the resource thing, the oil, just like in Iraq, just like in Libya, just like in Syria, just like in Afghanistan. The real agenda there is to get resources and oil. Russia is probably the most resource abundant land on the earth. Okay. It's got gold, it's got oil, it's just got amazing, amazing lithium, all kinds of chemicals. It's got probably the world's most abundant resources, natural resources. No wonder they want Russia to fall. This is the greedy Americans. These are the killer, thieving, criminal cabal headed up by, or at least the puppet is, Biden. And so that's everything in a ball of wax right there. I'm giving you an update. Now, you can believe this stuff or you cannot believe it. That's up to you. But let's put it this way. I have supreme intel. I watch troops on the ground. I watch military analysts with big maps telling you exactly what's happening every day. I watch experts in the field. I watch talking heads that aren't really talking heads, not like on mainstream media. I'm talking about real people talking frankly and honestly about the situation that is facing us now. And guess what, people? It's all coming from this country, America, USA. Well, we know all about that because I've told you in the past and done many, many videos on it. So we all know about that. Not to mention, on top of all this stuff, you got all kinds of revelations coming out about other things that have been propagated and told to the American people, like the January 6th thing, the new tapes that are coming out. I mean, it's just all one big clusterfuck, people. It's all one big clusterfuck. And sad to say, it's all coming from the West, okay? I foresee that since Russia has survived the sanctions and they're teaming up with China and they're teaming up with the BRICS nations, the other nations that aren't down with America, the dollar is going to go tits up. It's gone. It's failing, okay? And that's why you're starting to see the bank failures, because the treasury bond thing ain't working anymore and the money printing isn't working anymore. So there you have it. There's the update, you know. Now, I know I do videos to take your mind off this stuff, but in good conscience, I can't just let this stuff go by and not inform my viewers, which you probably already know about this stuff anyway, but I thought that I would just give you an update anyway. So that's it. There's probably a million other things that I left out, little things, but I can't give you an update in a short video chronicling all the absurd lies and propaganda that's going on in the world today. All I can do is like give you a brief update, give you a heads up on what's going on. So we'll see what happens here. But Ukraine's about to fall. They've just taken another. The Russians are moving in with the Wagner group and are taking over a key city called Bakhmut and other key cities. So all this stuff about, oh, we got to beat the Russians and the Russians are the bad guys and they're losing and this and that is all just a crock of crap, okay? It's just a crock, okay? And your money is going to Ukraine, and what it's doing is it's enabling the deaths, okay, of hundreds of thousands of people. Make no mistake about it, this is almost World War III, if not, okay? This is one of the biggest wars that we've had in the history, okay? I mean, this is close to where we were in World War II and World War I. I mean, it's probably beyond that. I don't know what the casualties. Well, it's not casualty-wise because there were millions, okay, that died. And here's another thing, one last thing, the experts, the colonels and the ex-military that are seeing the lies and are trying to spread truth now are saying that this is probably the largest battle that we've had in a long time. But not only that, they're also saying that America is not equipped to fight a ground war. It's giving all of its tanks and ammunition and what's left of it to Ukraine. And also one other thing, I just keep thinking of things here, but the money and the arms and all that are going on the black market. The money's going into the pockets of Ukrainian oligarchs and the president over there. It's not really going to the war. The war is lost. So they're going to suck all that money up from the taxpayers in the U.S. You need to hold your leaders in this country accountable. You need to hold them. It's time for a mass hanging is what it's time for. And if there ever was a time for people to get in the streets and protest what's going on, it would be now. It would be now. But don't hold your breath, because that last anti-war rally was pathetic. So that's it. I'll just leave it there, and to remind you also that I'm going to be putting up some archives, videos, stuff about Native American warriors and just a lot of stuff that people, got a kick out of or were interested in. I will put up occasionally, I will take one of my videos that's already there. You can already watch it, but if I re-upload it, other people will get wind of it, and you'll be able to see things if you're new to the channel that I did in the past, which are more centered around the indigenous person and the concept of living next to Mother Earth and the concept of being a spiritual and physical warrior in these times and the concept of being strong. Hell, I did videos back then that predicted exactly what's happening right now. I did videos back in 2013, 2010, 2009, so you'll see. Just thought I'd put it up there for some of the new ones, and some of the people that have been with me for a while will get a kick out of it also. So I'm going to leave it there today. If you want to support this channel, you can always go to Spirit of Crazy Horse and make a donation. I would appreciate it. And there's a donate button there, and you'll get a free PDF copy of one of my books if you donate $10 or more. So appreciate the support. Other than that, click the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. All right, I'm out of here. It's a nice rainy day in the desert with a little bit of sun and a little bit of clouds, and it's kind of nice. So I'm off to enjoy it. Adios.